Locho sambo pa gyu trashi pa tuche tembe tinle yarngoda pelge drolo zambe zebrache pande lame shabla solwade Omo a guru vajra dara sumatimo nishasane ka Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Suma Timonish Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Suma Timonisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhihum. Pakyuke Kudanda Gelo, Pakyuke Sundanda Genga, Pakyuke Tugdanda Geye, Tenyerme Chiktu Jingelo. Makyuke Kudanda Gelo, Makyuke Sundanda Genga, Makyuke Tugdanda Geye, Tenyerme Chiktu Jingelo. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Sangye chedan soge chonam la chanchu pardo dani kyapso chin dagi chinso gibe sonam gi drola penchire sangye druparasho Sangye chedan soge chonam la chanchu pardo dani kyapso chin Dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola pinchre sangye druparasho Sangye chedan soge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chin Dagi jinso gibe sonam gi drola pinchre sangye Druparasho. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge and enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, during these last days, we have been seeing the 7 points of mind training. And as we saw in the very beginning, during the preliminary practices, the second of them was impermanence. And tomorrow is our last day of this teachings period. So everything that starts sooner or later comes to an end. And actually, we need at the same time also to focus well, because we still have 3 points to go from the 7. And they're all very important. And that's why I don't want today to go on a long introduction, because we need to go to see the point number 5 and 6, and tomorrow we will see the point number 7. But I don't want to, for that reason, I don't want to stay long in a long introduction. The points that we will see, before that anyhow, the important thing is that when we talk about this practice of Lojong, of mind training, two things. One, the practice of the mind training of Lojong, it is actually the same practice that we do if we are following the Mahayana path correctly. If we take the path of Mahayana Buddhist practice, that's the same path that we will follow as we will train the 7 points mind training. The difference is that the 7-point mind training, it's a very practical and direct way to show us and guide us through this path. This is the main aspect. And as it is called a training, this gives us a very special meaning, which is we must understand that we cannot change our mind from one day to the other in an instant. It must be something gradual. That's why it requires training. It requires repetition. It's not just a matter of understanding. It's not just a matter of comprehending. It requires repetition. It requires training. But in any training that we do, we always need to have some sort of reference to know if we are training ourselves well or not. Like if I want to run a marathon and I start training to run the marathon, which is the reference that I know if I am training well or not? How many kilometers I can run? How fast can I run? I think so. I don't know much about exercise, but I would suppose that I need to check, okay, how many kilometers can I run? How fast can I run? This is the reference that I have if I am training well or not, no? If they train more, but finally I can run less, this is not a very good sign, right? So we need to check which is the references to know if we are going well or not, because sometimes we can put a lot of effort, but if we train ourselves in the wrong way, we get the wrong result. So that's why it's important to have this reference. Like if we look in sports, there are different sorts of competitions and different ways to check. We always have references to check if we are training ourselves well enough or not. When we study, we have exams. There are different ways how we do, which is mainly there to check, how am I training myself? Am I training myself well or not? How is my process going? Also in our spiritual path, this is also important. Even because it is possible that we train ourselves in the wrong manner. We can practice the Lojong, we can put ourselves as a practitioner of mind training, of love and wisdom, but actually even do the opposite, it's possible. Like as we are going to see later, the commitment number 17 from the point number 6, it says, don't turn gods into devils. Don't turn gods into devils basically means do not transform something that is very good into something that is very bad. The meaning is that if we do the practice of mind training, which has the objective to eliminate our own selfishness, and instead we start acting like I am the great practitioner because I am transforming my mind and you don't understand anything, you are no one because you don't do any practice, and this and that, we are transforming gods into devils. We are taking something that is there supposed to eliminate our selfishness, and finally what we are doing? Building up even more selfishness and even more attachment and more arrogance and so on. Okay? So we need to be careful. We need to analyze. We need to check ourselves. We need to check how am I going on my path. This is something that is also important for us. Okay? So now, based on that, we will go to the points, and we have many things to see today, so I will not go on in any much introduction. We will go directly to the point, okay? So, let's go now to the text. Point number 5, the measure of having trained the mind. Chokun gompa chiktu du pangbo nikyang tsobar song yide bashi gyundu ten changwe tseni lokpa yin. Jong ta chenpo nga ding yengyang tumna jongpa yin. integrate all the teachings into one thought. Primary importance should be given to the two witnesses. Constantly cultivate only a peaceful mind. The measure of a trained mind is that it has turned away. There are 5 great marks of a trained mind. The trained mind retains control even when distracted. So, integrate all the teachings into one thought. In the moment that the first thing to check if we are practicing correctly or not is if every aspect of our spiritual path practice is taking us on the same direction. Which is the same direction? To develop love and compassion and wisdom. Eliminate selfishness and ignorance. This is the main direction. So if we see that our meditation practices, our recitation of prayers and mantras, the study of philosophy, our karma yoga, or whatever we are doing, if we see that everything is taking us in the same direction, everything is directed into developing love, compassion, and wisdom, this means we are going in a good direction. If we start seeing that I do the meditation because I want to feel relaxed, then I go do the protector prayers because I want to have money, then I do the karma yoga because I want to have a position or this or that, then I'm going to do the self-healing because I want to cure from my sickness, and so on. Okay, but not okay. To really check if our practices is going well, it doesn't matter what meditation we do, it doesn't matter what techniques we do to accumulate merit and to purify our negativities, how much we study the philosophy, the book of which tradition or which master we are reading. This doesn't matter. If we are really going in the right direction, it means that everything that we do, it goes in the same direction to develop bodhicitta and wisdom, to develop love, compassion, and wisdom. So this is the first sign that we are going in the correct direction. Okay? So every aspect of our spiritual practice should take us to the development of love, compassion, and wisdom. Okay? Love and wisdom. The second point says, primary importance should be given to the two witnesses. Who are the two witnesses? Ourselves and others. So we should give primary importance to ourselves and to others as judges to check how our own development is going. So regarding ourselves, we need to have self-analysis, self-criticism, look at ourselves, how I was last year, how I am this year. Do the same things make me suffer as before or not? Am I more generous, less generous? What have I developed? Am I more stable, less stable? Do I have more love, less love, more wisdom, less wisdom? We need to check ourselves. We need to analyze ourselves. Okay? So have positive self-criticism and at the same time do the self-analysis. This is one aspect that is important. The other aspect is that we need to listen to others also, because very often we are not 24 hours with ourselves. So we don't know, very often we have difficulty really seeing what is happening in the development in ourselves. So then it's good to listen to other people and the person say, okay, do you see any difference from me between last year and this year? Do you see any difference since 5 months ago when I started practicing Lojong and now? We don't need to say that 5 months ago I was starting to practice Lojong. But is there any difference between this period? And then we can really check how other people see us. Okay? And there is one very important thing here, which is when we listen to criticism from others, or we should not put ourselves in a defensive mode when we listen to criticism. In the same way that we should not put ourselves as I am the great one when we listen to praises. We know who we are deeply, If someone comes and tells us that we are the God on earth or we are the devil on earth, won't make difference of what we are. So it's not because you tell me that I am the God on earth that I have more attachment and attraction towards you. It's not because you tell me that I am the devil on earth that I have aversion towards you. I am who I am. It makes no difference what you think or what you say. But it's fundamentally important for us to be open to constructive criticism. So we don't need to worry when people tell us things, because what they tell us won't change what we are. But it helps us to look at ourselves and understand ourselves better. You know? And sometimes it's really difficult. I went myself different times, and I saw Lama Ganchen many times also, trying to give an advice to someone. Then the person enters into the direct defensive mode and attacks back when there was no attack. And then there is no space to listen. There is no space for advice. Like sometimes Rinpoche, he foresees things for the future. So he looks to you and says, oh, be careful, don't do this. And the person will say, what are you saying, Rinpoche? Are you telling me that I'm able to do this, that I would be doing this? I am not doing this. Are you telling me that I am stupid or that I don't understand things? Or how do you think? I saw this many times. Like sometimes Rinpoche came to me and said, oh, be careful, don't do this. Huh? And for 1 second, I was thinking, but I would never do this. But then after I was saying, that's a very easy way to fulfill one's advices, no? He gave me advice not to do something that I would not do anyhow, so that's easy to fulfill that advice, no? To follow it. That's all. Don't need to make any more other thoughts, but sometimes I see this, then the person get upset on Rinpoche saying, oh, Rinpoche, how do you see me? You do not value me, you don't understand me, you think I will do this, and you think I will do that, and how do you think? And sometimes time passes, and that things happened also. Huh? So what is important is that whenever we receive an advice, from whoever it comes, we need to receive it openly. Be careful not to remain in this self-defensive mode. It's very harmful to ourselves also. So we don't need to see who is telling something to us as an attack, and we don't need to attack back either. Because anyhow, it doesn't matter if what the person says is not coherent with reality, it won't change what we are. But it's good to listen, so as a reference to something that we can learn and the way how we can change ourselves, you know. Even there is a Tibetan saying, which is Shatse Kala Tamnye Me. From the mouth of those that care for you, sweet words would not come out. Okay? From the mouth of those that care for you, sweet words will not come out. Which means, if there is someone that really cares for us and see us doing something that is not correct, or having a behavior that is not right, or going in a wrong direction, if we really care for the person, what should we do? Is the person supposed to say something about it, or just not say anything because doesn't want to make us listen to something we don't want to listen? Should say, right? Even if it's not pleasurable. So that's why those that truly care for us will tell us things, the truths that maybe we don't want to listen. Okay? So, we should be open to criticism. We should be open to comments. We should be open to the view that others have for us. And it should be an aid to help us to understand better where we are, who we are. That's why I give primary importance to the two witnesses. Analyze yourself, do your own self-analysis, self-criticism, positive way, rejoice of the good things, look at the things that are not okay, redirect yourself, and listen to others also to understand how I am going, what I am doing, and take reference of them on both sides. Okay? And on the end of this booklet, which I have prepared for you, there is in the page 53, here we go. There is one text which is called The Medicine to Vomit the Inner Tumor. And this is a text written by Panchen Lobsang Chokyi Gyaltsen. It's a very hard self-criticism text regarding the practice of Dharma. So if we need some help to do your own self-analysis and self-criticism, this is a text that will help a lot. It's very hard, okay? It's not like, it's not allowed for minors of 18, under 18 years old, not allowed. Like, it's something that if you don't have enough experience with Dharma and something, it can be a bit too hard. Okay? But anyhow, it's a very special text and very beautiful text, really. And not very well known, actually. Anyhow, so this is when we say primary importance should be given to the two witnesses. Okay? Let's move on. Next point, it says, Yide bashi gyundute jangwe tseni lopayin jongta chembo ngadin yengyan tumna jompayin. Constantly cultivate only a peaceful mind. Did I say this in English? I don't remember now. This part? No, I don't think so. Anyhow, constantly cultivate only a peaceful mind. One of the main signs of having trained correctly our mind is that independently of which are the situations that we go through, our mind is happy and peaceful. Okay? When we are not anymore in this constant roller coaster in which we live, that the mind is like excited and then very sad, and then we get extremely excited with something good, and then we go down, 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 and then we remain down, and then we go a little bit up, and then we go down again, and then we remain up, and then we go down again. Instead, we need to make, it's like if we make a wave, slowly, slowly, the high and the low gets less and less, and we are able to reach more and more a balance. This balance is made that, yes, there are situations that are not so nice, that we don't like, but they are also positive, because we can learn, we can grow, we purify our negativity, so we have no aversion for that situations. There are situations that are more positive and pleasurable and wonderful. These are also good moments for us, for our practice and for our path, and we enjoy them and so on. So when we have no more fear of suffering, when we have no more aversion of the difficult situations, then we see them as a real opportunity and something positive for ourselves, then we stop having these extremes between positive and negative circumstances. So one of the main signs of having trained our mind is that the less we are vulnerable to the external circumstances, the more we have trained our mind. Okay? The more we are able to keep our own stability, to keep our peace, independent of where we are, what is happening, this means that we have really been trained correctly our mind. No? And then, it's like, even there was this we can see in the part of the teachings on the third point, if we follow correctly the third of the 7 points, which is transforming adverse circumstances into the path. This means that even when there are adverse circumstances, they are actually positive, because we purify our karma through that, we extinguish our negative karma through that, we train our patience, we train our love, we have many things that we can learn through it, so it's positive also in this way. It's not pleasurable, but it's positive. And then when we have no much more fear of suffering, and then we see also the positive aspect of the difficult situations, then we don't have so much anymore attraction to one and aversion to the other. Like Milarepa, he used to say, when I am sick, I am happy because I extinguish my negative karma and I can practice well the Dharma. When I am healthy, I'm happy because I have more strength for my meditation and I can practice well the Dharma. So I'm happy in one way and I'm happy in the other way. So when we are able to create such stability, the more we are able to be internally stable, independently of the external conditions, the more we have been training correctly ourselves. Okay? Like there was this monk that he was in jail for many years. And when he came out, he was asked by the Dalai Lama in India, he was asked, what was the worst thing that happened to you during this time that you were in jail? And he answered, the worst thing that happened to me was to almost lose compassion for the guard that was beating me. The problem was not the pain, but the problem was losing compassion. No? Or when our friend Franco, he asked the 10th Panchen Lama something that no one else ever asked, like Tibetans. He said, oh, you were many years in jail. And he said, yes. He said, how it was? Like no Tibetan would ever make this question to a Lama, much less the great 10th Panchen Lama. So, But he was nice because he made this direct question, and then the Panchen Lama told him, he said, it was the greatest opportunity I had in my life to practice the Dharma. When I was there, I had no other choice but to put into practice what I had learned. So, what does this mean? It means, he said, I did retreat. It was a period of retreat. I meditated a lot. And I put into practice what I had learned. So this is showing what? Even a very difficult circumstance can, if taken in the right way, by the correct mindset, it's a positive experience. Okay? So what happens is that the more our mind is trained, the more we are able to deal positively with all the circumstances that happen around us. This is one of the main signs of having our mind truly trained. Okay? The next point says, so constantly cultivate only a peaceful mind. The measure of a trained mind is that it has turned away. Turned away from what? From its common pattern of selfishness. So when we see that our common pattern is which? I want to be happy, I do not want to suffer. So there is this very strong holding at the I and the my. No, this strength, this force that we have, which is the force of not wanting to suffer and the force of wanting to be happy that is deep inside each one of us. The normal way is that this force is completely directed inside. We need to turn away, we need to redirect that and expand that feeling of love towards others. Not only I want to be happy, I want everyone to be happy in the same way. Not only I want to be free from suffering, I want everyone to be free from suffering in the same way. So when we turn away from our own selfishness, when we are able to take that same attitude and we expand it towards others, then we are on the correct path. Okay? Then this means we have been training correctly our mind. Then it says, there are 5 great marks of a trained mind. The 5 great marks of a trained mind is to have great patience, not to not react with aggression in front of the difficult situations of life. Okay? So one of the signs of seeing if we are training correctly or not is how much patience I have. Not reacting with aggression. Patience is the first one. The second mark is what's called the great mind, which is a mind of loving kindness towards others. How kind I am, how loving I am towards others. The more I am kind and loving, the more I have trained my mind. Then there is the third one, which is called, we have the great conduct. The great conduct is that when we are able to apply in our actual physical conduct of body, speech, and mind, the teachings and the practice. So not only I make prayers, not only I follow the philosophy, but these teachings are being put into practice in the way how I speak, in the actions I do, in the choices I make. Okay? So a great conduct. Then we have the great morality, which means that I'm able to avoid even the small action that we do, which of negative action. I know into one's own practice. That doesn't make the distinction between what I know and what I do. I really put it into practice, what I believe. A mind that avoids every negative action that one knows that is negative. And a mind that integrates the practice into every aspect of one's own life. Okay? This is the 5 marks of a trained mind. And then the last aspect, which showing a trained mind, it says, the trained mind retains control even when distracted. This means that before we are completely trained, in order to have great patience, great compassion and love towards others and kindness, in order to have a conduct that is coherent, in order to, at the same time, avoid negative actions and to apply the Dharma in our daily life and so on, we need to put effort. And we need to induce ourselves into that. If we let ourselves go, we would react with aggression. But I know that that's not correct, so I induce myself with effort to be patient, to be loving and kind, and so on. To act without so much selfishness, to concentrate on wisdom, and so on. I really put effort on that. I put an effort into exchanging myself with others. I induce myself into that. When I am able to have the same conduct, the same attitude, even when I am not inducing myself into it, even when I am distracted, this means I have fully trained myself. So when I am practicing the Dharma, even when not practicing the Dharma, this means I have trained myself correctly. When I'm following the Dharma, even when not practicing, even when not putting the energy for that, this means I have trained myself correctly. Okay? So, the important thing of this point, this fifth point, is that it's showing us one, which is the objective that we want to reach. What's the objective of our path? It's not that of having incredible dreams and having visions of the Buddhas or listening to the Buddha talking to us or whatever other mystical sort of realizations, which if anyone have anything similar, okay, that's nice, enjoy it. But the real thing, am I able to keep a peaceful mind independently of the circumstances in which I am? Am I still following selfishness as my main goal? Or have I turned it away from selfishness? Do I have patience? Do I have love and kindness? How is my conduct? How is my morality? And do I integrate the practice in my whole life? Always the same direction of developing love and wisdom. I want to be independent of the external conditions, always with a joyful mind. I want to avoid every negative action and to apply the Dharma in every action of my life, every aspect of my life. And I want to do all of that spontaneously. That's a goal. Okay, so this is showing us this goal in a very clear manner. Okay, now we live for each one of us. During our life, we understand that this is a long, gradual process of training. So slowly we can see that we are able to suffer a little bit less with certain conditions. We are able to have more patience, more love, more kindness, avoid more negative actions. The more we are able to do, each one of these points is something that goes gradual. And then with that, we see that this path is possible. Okay. The next point is a very important one. The next 2 points, actually. To understand them, we should imagine a road. Okay? Imagine a road with many turns. And what happens if we need to drive on a road with many turns? It's a beautiful sunny day. And this road have no white strips. We call white strips on the sides. Okay? No, not a sidewalk, this white paint. There is just a white line that is on the two sides. These white lines on the side of the road. No? So I don't know if you've ever driven on a road with turns without these white lines on the side on a dark, misty night. Foggy night. It's really difficult. If we need to go on the same road on a sunny day, it's easy. We can see well the road. We don't care much about the white lines. But when we get in the night, in the dark, foggy night, it really becomes difficult to drive if we don't have the right lines showing us the path. We can very easily get out of the main road. Okay? Similar to that, in our life, we have days in which everything is sunny. We have our inner sunny days, in which everything is clear, we have no doubts, and our pathway, it's easy to follow. But then we have our inner dark, foggy days also. And when we are in our inner dark, foggy days of doubt, of mistrust, of fear, or unknown clarity, and so on, we must have the white lines on the sides remembering us what is the path. Otherwise, very easily we get out of it. We lose our track. So, what are these white lines? Are the vows and commitments that we take. So the point number 6 and 7 are the commitments and the advices are 18 commitments of mind training and 22 advices. These 18 commitments and these 22 advices are there to show us the way, especially in our dark, foggy days. Okay? Because when we are a beautiful sunny day, when everything is clear, our connection is on, everything is beautiful, we know it goes quite smoothly. We don't need too much devouse. It goes easily. But in the day that we have our doubts and our mind is unclear and we go through our own inner fog, and then we really need something to remember us what is the path. And these are our commitments. This is the importance of taking vows. This is the importance of having commitments. Okay? So, in the moment that we truly want to practice the mind training, the moment that we truly want to train ourselves in love and compassion and wisdom, and we really want to change our attitude from a selfish attitude to a non-selfish attitude or altruistic attitude and so on, there are these 18 vows, 18 commitments, and 22 advices for us to follow. Okay? So we will go through the commitments today and through the advices tomorrow. Okay? So let's see them. We start with the commitments. And we go. Chitun sumla taktulap dumba gyurla ransor sha. The first 3 commitments are actually in the original text said in one very small line, which is always train in the 3 general points, which we have written here, the 3 actual points, which are: don't go against the mind training you promised to observe. Don't be reckless in your practice. Don't be partial. Always train in the 3 general points. These are the 3 general points. The 3 general points is keep and protect your commitments. What does that mean? Why do we need to protect our commitments? Because there are moments in life where we have our difficulties, where we have our weaknesses, and then we don't want to keep our commitments. So we have the commitment to keep the commitments. The commitment to protect our commitments. This is the first one. Second one, don't be reckless in your practice, which means don't feel that because you practice the mind transformation Lojong, you are superior to others and you can do things like, with examples that are given in the text is like, I can go to a place where there is an infective disease. When I don't worry, nothing will happen to me because I am a practitioner of Lojong. I am a practitioner, I direct my mind, I control my mind, so nothing will happen to me. Don't do that, you will get sick, so don't do it. Don't feel you are like Superman, you know. And don't feel like, okay, I can deal with any situation. Oh, I am a mind, I practice Lojong, so I can transform everything. I will go in the middle of war and I will convince everyone for peace. Careful. Okay, don't be reckless. Remember that you have your own limitations. Okay? And the third one, don't be partial, which means we should practice the mind training with everyone and every circumstances. We should practice when we are in good circumstances and when we are in bad circumstances. We should practice with our friends and with those that we don't like also. You know? The opposite is like one time a friend of mine making a joke, he told me, may all beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. Let's remember that my boss is not sentient. Okay? So it's a way of saying, yes, I like to practice love and compassion with all of those that I like, but I don't want to practice love and compassion with those that I don't like. This is to be partial. We should not be partial in our practice. We should practice with the same intention, with the same strength in relation to everyone and every circumstance. Okay? The next verse, next commitment says, transform your attitude. Transform your attitude, but maintain your natural behavior. This means we should not change our external behavior in order to show an internal change. We should not change the way how we dress, the way how we speak, Let's say I go to work and then someone come and say something bad to me and I go, oh, thank you very much to be so rude to me so that I can practice my way or whatever, We try to show to others that we are practicing Lojong and that we are doing something inside. So, do not make an external change in order to show an internal change. If an internal change will bring naturally a change of external behavior, okay, that's fine. But not the other way around. We should keep a natural behavior, which means we should respect the culture where we are, we should respect the context in which we are, and we should follow the system where we are. And we should not force to show that we are different and that we have something, Whatever change of behavior will come as a natural, spontaneous result of our inner change, that's welcome. But not the other way around. Okay? This connects us also to the fact that in Tibet it has been given a very great deal of importance to the fact of not showing externally our inner realizations. No? Even to the extreme, like one very quite extreme example for me. It's one time there was a monastery in Tibet called Gyume, and there was a tantric college in Lhasa. And they would go once a year to do a retreat in another place. I forgot the name now, but they would need to walk a few days, and they need to go through a big river. They need to pass through a big river. No? And they would do this in these very precarious boats, which are made of yak leather, really very dangerous boats. So they would go on these boats. So when they were coming back from this retreat, there were like hundreds of monks, there were like maybe 300 or whatever. They were going on these small boats. No? They're really very precarious. I have seen them. And then what happened is that came a very strong current, and many of these boats fell down, and 150 monks, something like this, died. And what happened is that at that time, some of the monks that had some higher realizations, they had their own meditation mat, which is this piece of cloth they call dingwa, that they used to sit when doing meditation. They took the dingwa and they were floating with the dingwa through the water, and they were able to reach the other shore and save their life. And many others died. And so what happened is that when they arrived at the monastery, the master of discipline, and in this monastery, the master of discipline has more power than the abbot. It's one of the monasteries with the highest level of discipline. Very, very strong discipline. Like if you don't put your clothes correctly like this, if you go around like this, out of the monastery, expelled of the monastery. When entering the gompa, if you place your foot on the wood where it's the door, you're expelled of the monastery. During the puja, when taking tea, if you don't hold your teacup on your hands and you place on the floor, expelled of the monastery. Like, they are one of the most extreme disciplines monasteries. So, when they arrived back during the puja, they arrived there, and then the master of discipline, which was Changyang Awan Chokden, I think, one a very important master actually, he said, first of all, we don't need a protector that is permaloso, how to say that? Moody, or that it's like, because what happened is that normally they would always make the protector puja before going to the river, and this time they forgot to do it. So they say, we don't need a protector that is moody in this way, that because we didn't do the protector puja, now he went against us and didn't protect us on our way. So he took the main tank of the protector, which was Pandit Lama, he rolled it up and sent to throw in the river. That from now on, is not anymore our protector. But interesting, that same day, on the other part of the river, like many kilometers down, where there was the monastery of Ganden, near to Ganden, or Drepo, now I'm confused. I think it was Ganden Chanse. The abbot, which was also a very high realized practitioner, he went to his disciple and he said to his attendant, oh, today you should go to that river on the very early morning, because someone very important is coming in that river for us. And when he arrived there, he saw the tanka coming on the river. And then he took, and then Pandit Lama became protector of Ganden Chanse. Okay? But anyhow, the main point which I want to bring is that time he only not said, okay, I don't need a protector that is not protecting us. He also said, and you, very good that you saved your lives, but you showed in public your realizations. And for that, you were expelled of the monastery. So, in Tibet was very clearly seen as one of the things that you are not supposed to do is to show in public one's own realizations. Why? Because it's very dangerous for one's own practice. It's very easy to fall on the trap of self-image and power and so on. So I show my realizations, people start treating me with respect, they make me offerings or this or that, I get attached to that image, I get attached to that power, and so on. And when I start seeing my realizations as a way of mundane power and not anymore as a tool for my own enlightenment. And this is very dangerous and very common to happen. So because of that, whatever the realizations are said to be kept like a butter lamp inside a vase, where it becomes all the light remains inside. You can use the light where it's necessary, but it's not showing around. So whatever are our realizations, we should not show them around, but we should keep them with us. Okay? So here it says, transform your inner attitude, but maintain your natural behavior. Okay? Well, now let's go on with the next one, because we have still many to go. Yela nyamba jumi cha shincho kaya mi samo nyomon kanche ngwela jan dributrewa tamche pam tukchengi sepan shung sambo mi ten shange mi go drami go ne la mi ap zökal lang la mi che tolo mi cha gyogi tse mi to du la du tu mi ap kigi yan la duk mi tsul. Number 5. Don't speak of others' incomplete qualities. In other words, do not criticize others. Okay? These are the two very important vows, which is do not criticize others, do not speak of others' incomplete qualities. And number 6, don't concern yourself with others' business. Mind your own business. Which basically is, what is the most precious thing we have in life? Life itself. And what we do, we take our time wondering what is the color of the underwear of our neighbor or whatever, Who cares? My life is much more important than knowing what the other one is doing or what he didn't do, or what about his job, or what about his money, or what about his personal life. It's not my business. And I don't want to use my time and my space with this. And by criticizing others, I'm not doing other than cultivating my own aversion and attraction and attachment and envy and so on. So do not criticize others. Just making a practical example of this is awful. Okay? To criticize means I go around and I start saying, that when I called this person to cook, it was the worst thing, look how bad this person cooked, and so on. I have no need to say it. But I go around saying it, so I'm criticizing. This is what we are not supposed to do. But if someone comes to me at a certain point, I'm not criticizing around, and someone comes to me and said, I'm looking for someone to cook. Oh, I thought about that person. What do you think? Because he cooked for you. What do you think? Then I should say, my experience was not good. Now, if you like it, try for yourself, but my experience was not good, Or I say, that person with me didn't have a good behavior. This is one thing. Another thing is I go around criticizing and telling what is happening and so on. This is what the vow that we should have. Not to criticize, not to go around talking about the faults and defects of others. Okay? And the second one, do not concern yourself with others' business. Somehow, it's like if we take it a little bit to a more modern extreme, it's like even do not watch reality shows, Because what is a reality show? It's concerning oneself with others' business, with the life of other people. What they are doing, their attractions, their aversions, and this and that, and we make ourselves busy with that, okay? So we should not concern ourselves with things that we don't need to be concerned with. Okay, one thing is to concern ourselves with the suffering of others and try to help them. Another thing is to want to know what they are doing, what they are not doing, what is this or what is that. I think we know very clear what we are talking about. Okay, to mind our own business. It means like, do not concern yourself with what does not regard ourselves. That is something that it's quite useful actually. 7. Train to counter whichever disturbing emotion is greatest. Which means whatever disturbing emotions, whatever mental defilements appears strongly, that's the one that we first act against. So where do we need to work? Is it on jealousy? Is it on envy? Is it on fear? Is it on miserliness? Whatever is the strongest one, that's where we should work and not keep it aside. Okay? Give up every hope of reward. Give up every hope of reward means, why do I practice the Lojong? Because I want to help others, not because I want to get free of my suffering, not because I want to get money or power, not any mundane or non-mundane rewards. Why I practice Lojong? Because I want to develop my qualities to help others. That's why I train myself in love and wisdom. So give up any sort of hope of reward for oneself. Avoid poisonous food. Food is something that nourishes us. But if it's poisoned, it harms us. So avoid any sort of spiritual practice that is poisoned. So mantra recitation, meditation, study of philosophy, anything that is something that should nourish our spiritual path, but if it is poisoned by selfishness, by attachment, and so on, by arrogance, then it's instead of nourishing us, it's going to harm us. So avoid anything that actually instead of benefiting us will harm us because it's poisoned. There was a meditator, he was doing retreat, and then one day he knew that his sponsor was coming. So the day that he knew his sponsor was coming, he cleaned much better his meditation room, which was in a cave. He put very beautiful offerings. He made the offerings better than what he would do normally and so on. And then he sit down to wait, like very seriously meditation style. No? And then suddenly he looked at himself when he sit down and he saw that this was completely poisonous food. Why he was making these offerings and why he was putting himself as a nice, great practitioner? Because he wanted money, that way he wanted the offerings from that sponsor. And he wanted the person actually to give him things, so it was not a correct motivation. So it was a good practice, food, but which was being polluted by poison, which was his own attachment and selfishness and so on. So once he understood that, he took a handful of dirt and he threw all the dirt on the offerings in the altar. And he sit there like this. Then the sponsor came and he went back quite upset. And when he arrived back, he went to one Lama. He was saying, I don't know, you told me to help this monk to do retreat. I went there. Look at that, the altar was all full of dirt. And then he was seated, not even look much like a practitioner, not even looking so much nicely to me. He was not very much nice to me either, and this and that, not giving me attention. And then he made some questions, and then the master said, I take refuge in him, So great what he did. And then he explained. He explained, what he's doing is making real practice. He saw that basically what he was doing was poisonous food, so he's avoiding that poisonous food. He saw that his being nice was only because he wanted something from you, so he had decided not to do that in order not to fall on that, not to take that poisonous food. Okay? So in our own life, we should be careful to avoid any food which has poison in it. Okay? Maybe sometimes we are not able to recognize it, but whenever we recognize it, we should not take it. Don't maintain a misplaced loyalty. A misplaced loyalty is when we have loyalty with our defilements. Yes, I am lazy, but it's not that bad to be lazy, and we leave the laziness there. Yes, I know that I am a little bit arrogant, but also, I am a good person and this and that, blah, 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 and we don't take care of it. It's like having someone in a company that is stealing, that is harming the company, but you like him at the same time, And it's too difficult to send him away, so you keep him there. This is misplaced loyalty. So do not maintain misplaced loyalty. Others in order to make fun of them and so on. Don't wait the right moment to harm back someone. Yes, you told me that time, now I do not react, but you will see the moment where we'll be in public or that circumstance will happen, then I will show you. Don't lie in ambush. Don't wait to harm back. Don't strike at a vital point, which means don't look at the most weak point of the other one to strike. And one time I had a discussion with a friend many years ago, and then this friend really went on looking which were my weak point and trying really to harm me on my weak point, to hit me on the weak point. And then after some time, and I said, look, what really upset me was that, okay, we can have different views. Point that had nothing to do with the discussion, actually, Why do you need to go to look at the weak point? And then the friend said, because we were fighting. This is what fighting is about. And then what I want to say with this example is just it's something that can happen. In the moments there is something, we may go to look where is the weak point of the other person to harm. So this is something that we need to avoid. Okay, avoid harming others, but especially avoid striking at the vital point. 14. Don't burden an ox with the load of a dzu. The dzu is actually an animal which is stronger than the ox. Okay, I don't remember now. The dzu, actually, if I'm not wrong, is the sun that comes together by matching the yak and the cow. Something like that. Anyhow, it is stronger than an ox. This means do not put your responsibility upon someone else. Don't take what is your responsibility and put in someone else's shoulders. And here the meaning comes in two ways. When we do a mistake, we are responsible for our mistake. Don't put it into someone else's shoulders. And when we take a commitment, when it's our job, when it's our responsibility, we should do it. If we need help, we can ask for help. But what is our responsibility is our responsibility, and we should not throw into someone else. Okay? Don't abuse the practice. Don't use the practice of mind transformation of Lojong for mundane reasons. To get money, to get power, and so on. This is one of the reasons also why the teachings of Lojong are not given in every context, because they need to be very careful that it's not being done in a context through which it would be done to gain power or money or whatever. So, do not abuse the practice. Don't sprint to win the race. Don't need to be the first one of the class. There is no competition to who should train the mind first in love and compassion and wisdom. Each one of us, we have our own timing, we have our own abilities, our own qualities, our own defilements, and we are on our own path, and we should help each other instead of competing with each other on our path to enlightenment. Don't turn gods into devils. Be careful not to make the practice of Lojong, through which we are supposed to eliminate our selfishness, at something that makes us more selfish and more arrogant. Okay? If we see that by practicing Lojong, we feel, I can take the suffering of others and pour myself, I am better than you, and somehow we end up using the mind transformation practice as a way to make our selfishness stronger and to feel that I am better than others and so on, then I am turning gods into devils. It's clear, no? It's dangerous, huh? And the last but not least, don't seek others' misery as a means to your own happiness. Okay? Sure, whenever we do anything, there will be someone that would not like it. We cannot avoid that. Buddha Shakyamuni himself, he had his cousin Devadatta that was very upset with everything that he did and tried to kill him 5 times. Okay? So there is no possibility to do something that everybody will be perfectly happy about. Someone may be upset. But the vow here concerns the fact of not doing something where we specifically go to harm someone as a means to reach our own happiness. It's clear the difference. I can do something through which I am not really doing to harm anyone, then someone get upset. This is one thing. Another thing is when I do something for my own well-being where it includes needing to generate suffering on someone else. So I go on purpose, I need to create suffering on you so I can get what I want for myself. Okay? We could go into many examples of this. But this is one of the commitments that we should be careful also with. Okay? So, which are the 11 commitments of the mind training? Don't go against the mind training you promised to observe. Don't be reckless in your practice. Don't be partial. Transform your attitude but maintain your natural behavior. Don't speak of others' incomplete qualities. Don't concern yourself with others' business. Train to counter whichever disturbing emotion is greatest. Give up every hope of reward. Avoid poisonous food. Don't maintain misplaced loyalty. Don't make sarcastic remarks. Don't lie in ambush. Don't strike at a vital point. Don't burden an ox with the load of a zo. Don't abuse the practice. Don't sprint to win the race. Don't turn gods into devils. Don't seek others' misery as a means to happiness. Okay? So these 18 vows, I think they are quite clear. And if we really want to train our mind, we should be careful to keep them as a line that shows us the path, as a guideline for ourselves, okay? And on top of that, we will see tomorrow the 22 precepts or the 22 advices that are also helping us to keep correctly our mind training. The vow, when it says, don't burden an ox with the load of a zo, it refers specifically of keeping our own responsibility. Sure, it's not good to take responsibilities that we are not able to keep. We shouldn't do that either. But the vow specifically regards maintaining our own responsibility and not throwing into someone else. Okay? Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar tinle chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi drove munsel tatu ne gyurch Nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin Ninsen taktu delekpe Koncho sumki jingi lo Koncho sumki ngodrup tsol Koncho sumki trashishun At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Oma huntem balame sangye rinpoche, kyo balame tamcho rinpoche, drimbalame gendurim, kyamne kuncho sumla chepa bu.